Note, before this video begins, I just want to say that this video was made to celebrate my birthday and Halloween. Not to mention, this is my very first audio adaptation, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. The Tale of the Bad Engine, written by Skarloey 123, aka Richard Jordon, narrated by Valentino the Furness Railway K2 engine. It was the evening before Halloween, and all the engines were gathered around the yard, ready and eager to start their annual tradition of telling ghost stories. The firelighter flame set the mood, and soon the yard was showered in warm orange glow, creating an atmosphere bright with spooky tales. The engines all took turns telling ghost stories as the moon rolled overhead, each trying to outdo the last. They were all enjoying themselves enormously. Even the bigger engines were not thinking at the engines were lying. Finally, it was Henry's turn to tell his story. He hesitated for a moment, curiously looked over to Jordon and Edward. "Heavens," whispered Jordon. "Go on, he won't hurt." I don't know if I should." "Well, it is up to you, Henry. It is scary," Edward replied. "Aren't you gonna tell the story or not?" James said impatiently. The other engines just laughed at it, except for Henry, who looked a little bit unconscious at first. "Go on," Thomas and Percy both said together, encouraging Henry to tell the story. "Well, alright then. Well, here it goes." And so with that, Henry began his story. Many years ago, there was an engine who used it to work on a faraway railway. He was never given a name, or should I say, never lived there long enough to be given a name. Henry paused it impressively. "You see," he continued, "all engines, when they are built, are kind and friendly and hard-working engines. But once in a while, engines come out the works bad. And I'm sorry to say that this engine came out very, very bad indeed. No one knows how he came to be built today, or what led him to do all the things he did. But he left a path of his destruction that once his controller was very different." Thomas and Percy gasped in horror and looked wide-eyed at each other. The engine thought himself to be a premier engine from a famous locomotive lineage. But what he didn't know is that he was actually just an experimental engine, using only parts of other steam engines. The parts didn't fit together very well, and made him very mean-spirited. Or somewhat, unhinged it. He was painted it blue, but probably should have been painted it black, or maybe even green. It is not uncommon to insult one another and result to large sabotage, such as bumping, without war, or place the train, or on small, petty squabbles. He was also very vagina and had bits of brain inside of it, taking all his anger out of the trucks, and sometimes engines smaller than he was. One day, he bumped up to one of the small, and Fred pushed him into the end of the turn in the well. Fred could not believe he didn't feel it to the very wind. Edward suddenly gulped it in, as if a bad memory had flashed it across his mind. The big engines were furious with him and confronted him about his awful behavior. Stop pulling engines smaller than you! But he didn't care. He continued to play spiteful tricks and threatened that the big engines ever told the controller about it, he make them pay. The two big engines fairly fed up and got up very early the next morning and met the controller at the station. They told him everything about what he did, but the controller's hands were untied of it, since the engine was unloaded it from the other railway. I can't do anything but put in a report to the engine's company, said Henry, mentioning the fictional controller. Well, what happened then? Asked Toby nervously, trying to sound brave. Well, it is said that one of the big engines left to go to the train and the other one went to the station, trying desperately for the controller to believe that case. It is said that Alfred was passing for a young that time and saw the big engine, and needless to say, he was immediately suspicious. He later then confronted the big engine in the yard and said, I told you guys not to tell anyone. You will get yours. The big engine just laughed at it, believing the engine only to be bluffing. Henry then paused at it. Edward, Henry, and Gordon all looked at each other. Gordon gave the emotion the eyes, encouraging Henry to keep on going. But, said Henry nervously. He was most assuredly not bluffing at all. The next day, the big engine was pulling an express train through the junction. The bad engine, knowing the big engine, who was just up the line, had unintentionally missed the signal and plowed it to the back of the express train to get even. The sight of the wreck was awful. The three red coaches were smashed and destroyed into smithereens. And everyone inside those three coaches, Henry property, everyone inside those three express coaches parachuted. The other engines gasped. The big engine screamed, "You killed my passengers! You killed my passengers! You killed my passengers!" He just rocked it in mechanical loop. The controller, who had seen the mess, sent the engine for scrap. If the controller would only listen to the big engines, the lives inside those coaches might have been saved. And so that's the moral of the story. Stand up to evil and fight until the very end, or the evil might just turn all of you into ghosts. Henry gave a long and loud whistle, making everyone jump. "Wow, Henry, that was a twisted story," said James. I might have to keep all the lights on tonight," said Percy nervously, and all the other engines laughed. Soon, it was time for all the engines to head back to their sheds, and all the engines went back to the shed to get a good night's rest. Edward, Henry, and Gordon, however, all stayed behind. Henry looked a little bit unconcerned at it. Gordon then confronted the big green engine. "A fine performance there, Henry," said Gordon proudly. "I didn't know you could tell such a scary story like that." "Well, yeah, but do you think they know who we were talking about?" said Henry nervously. "The only one who might have known was probably Thomas, but he was too young at that time to remember. Do you think 98462 was actually scrapped today?" Edward and Gordon both looked at each other with no answer. The three engines all looked up at the moon, feeling concerned and hopeful that the bad engine wouldn't come back to haunt them again.